How's it going, everybody? Welcome to today's stick mobility class. I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Really appreciate it. So for today's class, we are going to need access to 2 long sticks. We'll also need access to a light kettlebell. I really want to emphasize a light kettlebell. If you have a dumbbell, that's totally fine. It's not going to be the same, but if you have access to a light kettlebell, maybe somewhere around 8, 10, 12 kilos, I'm only going to use 12 kilos today. We are going to be working specifically on shoulder health and shoulder movement today. So pretty much everything we're actually going to be doing is going to be specific to the upper body. So this is going to be a very back-friendly type of workout for today. Now, I have a 12 kilogram kettlebell behind me. Also, I have 2 bands. One's really, really light. The other one's a little bit heavier, but not that much lighter. Again, we're working on shoulder health. So we are going to be focusing on working with a bottoms up position press. And that's going to really challenge the scapular movement, the shoulder blade. But before we actually get into that, we're going to use the bands to work on not only the external rotators of the shoulder, but also we're going to work a little bit on overhead positioning and rib cage positioning as well. So today's class is actually going to be one if you need a lot of work on your shoulder mobility. And if you're like me, you always need a little bit of help, right? Now, to start off with, we're going to go with a double monkey hang just to get a little bit of brachiation here. So I'm going to have my right foot forward, left foot is going to be back. I have the bottom of the sticks lined up with the heel of my right foot. I'm going to have both hands at the top here, and I'm going to make sure I get a full grip on a stick. Now from this position, I'm going to wiggle my left foot back as I need to, and I'm going to sink down into that hang here. And I want a good majority of weight in my hands, and we're just hanging. Getting a little bit of decompression in the spine, a little bit of decompression in the shoulders. Breathe. Good. Going to come up, step forward and switch side, switch feet. Hands are up, same thing. We're going to slowly drop down into that hang here. Breathe. Excellent. Come up and ease off. Right, get a little bit of hanging. Now we're going to work with kind of loosening up that spine, particularly with extension. So we're going to go with a T-spine extension drill here. I'm going to have my feet roughly about hip to shoulder width apart. Toes going to be pointed forward. Bottoms of the sticks are in line with my midfoot and angled in towards me. My hands are going to start at roughly about shoulder height here. And I'm going to sink my hips back, reaching back with my hips, reaching my arms out. I'm going to try to get my torso to the floor as best I can here. So we're going for a stretch in that thoracic spine, a little bit in that TL junction here. Come back up nice and slow. Good, we're going to go back into it again. Drive those hands out, hips back. Try to create as long of a spine as you can. Excellent. Come back up. Let's go one more time. Sink back. Drive those hands out. Try to get that torso to the floor. You're aiming that chest down. Excellent. Come up and ease off. Wonderful. We're going to place one stick down. What we're going to do here, we're going to do a slap shot variation, but we're only going to be focusing on rotation. So we're going to take a wide stance, whatever's most comfortable for you. You can have your feet actually angled forward for this. I'm going to take the stick and place it behind my mid back. Now, what we're going to emphasize is pulling apart and shortening the stick here. We're not lunging side to side like we usually do. We're just trying to, again, get that T-spine to open up a little bit more. Now from here, hands are straight out, sticks at mid-back. I'm going to hinge, drive my hips back, knees are soft here. I'm going to rotate the left end of the stick down to my center line, place it on the floor, and I'm going to pull apart, 20% tension. Try to lengthen that stick here. Now I'm gonna compress the stick. You're gonna feel a little bit of a differentiation in what tissues are being active here. Getting a little bit more of those anterior tissues. Ease off, rotate the right end down, place it on the floor, pull apart. So as you lengthen the stick, you should be getting a little bit more rotation. Now compress the stick. And you want to try to keep that rotation even as you're compressing. Ease off, rotate the left end down a little further, pull apart. Breathe, compress. Good, rotate the right end down. Again, try to get a little further across, pull apart. Compress. Excellent, rotate the left end down. Try to get a little further, pull apart. Really try to lengthen that stick. Excellent, rotate the right end down. Pull apart. Breathe. Excellent. Ease off. Stand up. Wiggle those feet in. Excellent. We're going to stick with the one stick here. And now since the stick's already behind our back, we're actually going to put it into the crooks of our elbows here. Now with this drill, we are going to be working on leveraging our hands to get more rotation. So I'll actually kind of turn to the side here. I'm going to have my feet roughly about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider. This is going to depend on whatever's most comfortable for you here. Now, crooks, the sticks in my elbows here. I actually come kind of driving my hands forward just a little bit, getting that extension. I'm going to hinge back. Good, get to a good hinge position. Both of my hands are on my inner thigh here. And I'm going to start by sliding my right hand down my inner thigh and driving my hand against it. Getting a lot of rotation here. Come back to center. Now we're going to go other side. Good, switch. Leverage that hand in, make sure you're breathing. Spine should start to feel a little looser. Come back to the other side. Leverage that left hand in. Good. Other side. Excellent. Make sure you're breathing here, folks. Switch to the other side here. Excellent. Come back to center. Stand up. Good. Go ahead and come out. Now again, we're going to be working with the shoulders, so we're going to grab both sticks here, and I kind of want to work on getting into a little bit of shoulder extension. We're not going to actively go into shoulder extension. We're going to actually save that drill for the strength training part. We're going to go with both sticks, and I'm actually going to have my feet roughly about hip width here. Squeeze your glutes, lock your hips into extension. Now positioning of the shoulder makes all the difference. We don't want anterior rotation of the shoulder, right? I want to keep that shoulder seated as we work with that extension, so it's more true extension here. I'm going to have my feet are roughly hip width, squeezing my glutes. Both sticks are rounding outside of both feet. I'm going to grip the sticks with a thumbs down grip here. Right? Now my grip is roughly about rib cage height, shoulder rib cage height. You can start with your hands lower if you'd like and progressively move them up. So arms are straight, squeezing my glutes. I'm going to bring the sticks out and back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and then back forward. Good. We're going to go again. Lightly drive those sticks into the floor now, about 20%. Try to get those sticks to touch behind you. Good, back forward. Let's go again. Keep driving those sticks down. Back forward. Excellent, let's go a couple more. I'll actually kind of show from the side here. Drive sticks down. Good, back forward. Let's go one more time here, folks. Drop them back. And back forward. And ease off. Wonderful. Now, we're going to place one stick down. We're going to get into dislocates. However, we're going to actually add in a little bit of a press motion with the dislocates. And that pressing motion is going to be a little bit more specific on working on the movement of the scapula. We're going to start off, feet about roughly hip width apart, shoulder, toes are pointed forward, squeeze those glutes, lock the hips into extension, folks. We're going to go with a relatively wide grip here. Wide is whatever's comfortable. It's going to depend on your mobility. Arms are going to be straight. Palms are facing in towards my body. I'm going to start by pulling the stick apart, about 20% tension, and I'm going to bring the stick up overhead. Nice and slow. Keep pulling the stick apart. Once you get to that top position, bring it back down and compress the stick once it gets to eye level. Excellent. Pull the stick apart, and I want you to focus on keeping your rib cage down into your hips. Hold, down, and compress. Good, we're still at 20% tension here. Let's go 40. Pull apart a little harder, feel that upper back get nice and active here. Keep that rib cage down to the hips. Good, down, and compress. 40% still, folks. Excellent. We're going to ease off for a second here. Now we're going to add in that pressing motion. And for this, allow your shoulder blades to actively move. We're not trying to keep them pinned down. Arms are straight here. We're going to go with that same grip. Squeeze the glutes, pull the stick apart. Let's go 40%. Bring the stick up overhead. Keep control of the rib cage. Once you get to the top here, you're going to bring the stick down to the upper back. Still pulling apart. Pull apart, pull apart, pull apart. Good. Now we're going to try to shorten and compress that stick and bring it up overhead. Really drive those hands up. Good. Bring the stick down. And ease off. Excellent. We're going to go again. Pull a stick apart. Up. Keep control of the ribs. Good. Keep pulling apart. Bring the stick down. If you can, get it to the upper back. Compress. Good. Up. Then down. Excellent. And ease off. Wonderful. Now we're going to work with a little bit of external rotation. So with this one, we got the long stick. We're not going with the short stick here, right? What we're going to do with the external rotation is pretty tall. So notice where the stick is. Now where the sticker is on the stick, I'm actually going to bring my hand around like so, right? So the stick's coming to the outside. We're going to work on stretching out external rotation. So from here, keeping my elbow in front of my shoulder, I'm going to have my left hand at the bottom here, roughly around waist height. And I'm going to pull with that left hand to get that external rotation on a glenohumeral joint. We're going to hold here. Breathe. Should be getting a nice little stretch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to internally rotate, so create isometric tension against the stick. So internally rotate about 20% tension. Excellent. Ease off internally rotating. See if you can get a little bit further range. Good. Let's go again. Add that tension, 20%. Try to internally rotate. So I'm trying to get my hand to go the opposite way of the stick. Creating pressure into the stick here and ease off. Good. Now we're going to do a few repetitions. So I'm going to come up, creating internal rotation tension on the stick at 20%. Get to that external rotation. Good. Back up. Good. Breathe. Back up. Let's go one more time, folks. Only at 20% tension, nothing too significant. Back to center and ease off. We're gonna switch sides. So now left hand's on the stick. And another thing I want you to kind of look at is my hand's fully around the stick here, right? I'm not actually gripping the stick, but I'm just placing my hand on so I actually have a good amount of leverage here. Right hand's at the bottom. Gonna rotate. Find that position where it's a good stretch. Your shoulders might feel a little different. You might get more range of one shoulder than the other, and that's actually pretty normal, right? It's just about making that asymmetry and a very, not too significant in terms of movement. Now from here, I'm gonna internally rotate, create some tension against that stick, 20%. Breathe. Excellent. Ease off that internal rotation. Try to get a little further. Good. Try to internally rotate again. Excellent. Ease off. Good. Get a little more external rotation. Create some tension. Internally rotate. Breathe. Good. Now we're going to come back. We're going to do 3 reps. So internally rotate. Good. That's 1. Internally rotate. 2. Good. One more time. 3. Excellent. And ease off. Wonderful. Good. This is where we're going to actually put the stick down. We're going to grab the band. So I'm going to go with the band that's actually a little bit heavier because that lighter band is also going to add to the bottoms up press that we're actually going to do. It's going to be a really, really tough drill. So we want to make sure the shoulders are warmed up adequately. Now, the band is going to be where my wrists are. The objective for this is to keep the elbow stacked under the wrist. We don't want this position here, right? This is more internal rotation. We're looking to challenge external rotation, especially going into an overhead position. So I'm going to step back here. It's something I want you to pay attention to as usual. Squeeze your glutes, lock hips into extension, pay attention to your rib cage. We don't want that rib cage to flare up. We want to actually keep it locked down, so core should feel like it's tight, turned on here. I'm going to come forward. This is a relatively tight band. What I'm going to do is I'm going to externally rotate here. I'm going to make a fist and I'm going to hold this position here. And this is actually going to feel like quite a bit of a challenge on the shoulders. Squeezing those glutes, rib cage down. And I'm going to slowly bring it up overhead, only to like a half press position. And I'm going to hold this for 15 seconds. Keep creating that tension against the band. Keep your elbows stacked under your wrist. 3, 2, 1. Bring it down and ease off. Excellent. Your shoulders are going to be burning, but you should be feeling the posterior delt and those rotator cuff tissues actually turning on here. We're going to go again, and then we're going to go to a tall kneeling version, just to make it a little bit more challenging. So from here, squeeze those glutes, ribs down, externally rotate, keep the wrist stacked over the elbow, press up halfway. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And ease off. Wonderful. Shoulders are probably burning a little bit. Let's grab a pad for us to kneel on actually. All right, folks, so we're gonna go to a tall kneeling position. Now I'm gonna have both knees down. This is where things are gonna get a little bit more challenging here because I do wanna try to get to that full lockout position. We're not gonna actually do a 15-second hold. However, that doesn't mean it's gonna be easier. We're gonna set up the band in that same position here. Now, as we actually go through this, again, we need to squeeze those glutes. We're gonna keep that lower body active by driving your feet into the floor. Now my feet, I'm dorsiflexed. So I'm driving my big toes down just to create some power there. From here, I'm gonna get set in position, externally rotate, ribs down. Gonna press up. Move into that overhead position. Back down. That's one. Press. 2. Let's go one more. Back down. 3. Woo. Ease off, take a second. Okay. So this is actually pretty challenging, but again, working on the shoulders, working on the external rotators. If your shoulders are burning, that is normal. Like I said, this is a relatively heavy band for this kind of movement, but we want to actually create quite a bit of tension to make sure we actually challenge those same tissues. If you're starting to get a little bit of a discomfort in the shoulders, reduce your range of motion or grab a lighter band or do both, right? Let's go one more time, 3 more repetitions. Enter out, create that tension. Press. 1. Up. 2. 1 more. Up. 3. And ease off. Excellent, good. Shoulder blades should be feeling warmed up. Shoulders should be feeling warmed up. Now we're gonna grab that kettlebell and we're just gonna hold an isometric bottoms up position here. We're gonna grab the lighter band. And again, go with a light kettlebell, please. Now band's lighter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna create that external rotation. We're gonna hold the kettlebell in that one arm. Now, as we're holding the kettlebell in that one hand, that's the side we're really challenging on, but we're still working on both shoulders. We're not just working on one here. Let me get set up in the same position here. I'm gonna grab the kettlebell. I'm gonna bring it up to that bottoms up position. And I'm gonna create external rotation here. We're gonna hold. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Now we're gonna switch sides. Again, it's gonna be a pretty shoulder intensive day. So we're gonna do that same thing. Get into that bottoms up position. Create that tension. External rotation. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Take a second. Shake your shoulders out a little bit. We're gonna put this down for now. We're gonna actually stretch out shoulders and upper back just a little bit, just keep from getting too tight. We're gonna go with a double palms up grip. How far your grip is depends on you. Feet roughly about hip width, toes are pointed forward, elbows are bent. I'm going to turn my right hand over my left. Hold here. Good. Back to neutral, other side. Breathe. Back to center. Wiggle your hands out a little bit more if you can. Let's go one more time. Turn those hands over. Breathe, good. Back to center. Good, turn the hands over to the other side. Breathe. Excellent. Ease off. Wonderful. Now we're going to go to an active bottoms up press. And again, we're trying to work on shoulder stability and shoulder movement here. We're going to go to a half kneeling position. This is to make sure that we can lock the hips in position. We're also not getting a lot of excessive movement. I'm going to start my right leg down. Because when my right leg is down, my right hand is going to be pressing. Now with this back foot, I do want to make sure that I drive that back foot into the floor, squeeze my glute and tuck my pelvis. Again, I want to make sure that my pelvis is stacked, or my rib cage is stacked over my pelvis here. And I want to try to keep that alignment best I can. So we're only going to go through 3 repetitions here. So grip the kettlebell, get it up into that bottoms up position. Core tight, nice and engaged. Drive that back foot down, squeeze that glute. I'm going to slowly press up overhead. Back down. 1. Press. 2. 1 more. Press. 3. Down and ease off. We're going to switch sides. It's going to feel really shaky. Notice I might be shaking a little bit, but we are going for stability. We're not going for speed. We're not even going for strength in the aspect of how much weight you're pressing. It's more about how well can you control that weight as you're going through that motion. So we get set up in that same position. Kettlebells on my left hand, so drive that back foot down, squeeze the glute, tuck the pelvis, get in position, core tight. 1. Make sure you're gripping that kettlebell hard. 2. 1 more time. 3. Back down and ease off. Excellent. Good. So again, it's trying to work on that stability. So we're going to go back to using the band, hold that bottoms up position, working on the external rotation. We're going to do that 1 more time. Then we're going to get into some shoulder extension. So we're going to take that light band, or the lighter band that you have, get it on around the wrist here. Get set in position, kettlebell being the right hand first. Get set in that bottoms up position. Create that external rotation, hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off. Bring it down. Now we're going to switch hands. Bottoms up position. Pull it apart. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. And bring it down. Wonderful. We're going to put the kettlebell over to the side and put the band down. Now we're going to grab 1 stick. This is where we're going to get into shoulder extension. So do not let your shoulders get that anterior rotation here, right? Shoulders are going to be packed down, so we get more of that truer shoulder extension here. I'm going to take the stick, place it behind my back, palms are facing away. So I'm actually internally rotated on my shoulder. This is really going to get the lats. All right, you can change your hand position. We can go to external rotation or internal rotation. If you're in more internal rotation, you actually get the lats a little bit more. The feet are going to be roughly about shoulder width. Toes are pointed forward. Squeeze those glutes. All right. So from here, you figure out where your grip width is. My grip width is right outside my hips. So I'm gonna squeeze my glutes, keep my ribs down. I'm gonna drive my shoulder blades down or push the stick going down towards the floor here. Now from this position, I'm gonna pull apart about 50%, keeping my arms straight, and then I'm going to extend, pulling the stick back away from my hips. Hold. 3, 2, 1, back in, and ease off. Good. We're gonna go again. Squeeze the glutes, pull the stick apart 50%, drive those shoulders down, stay nice and tall, pull back, hold, breathe. 3, 2, 1, ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time. Arms straight, shoulders down, squeeze the glutes, pull the stick apart, pull the stick back, hold. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Ease off and take a break for a second. We're going to go one last drill. And this drill is going to have the stick kind of in that same press position, in a press position. Stick's going to be behind the head, right at that occipital region. And we're going to actually pull the stick apart and pull back. So you're going to feel a lot of upper back activation. That's what we want here, folks. We want a lot of upper back activation for this one in particular. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to have the stick. So grip width on the stick, I would say go roughly about the same as you did for the dislocates. Or for me, the way I look at it is I want to have my hands stacked over my elbows in this position here. For me, that's a good position. And that's a good position for a lot of people to start. All right? I'm going to turn around. Now notice that divot, that occipital region, the suboccipital region right about here. This is where the stick is. Right? I want to kind of keep it at that level. Now my foot width is roughly about shoulder width. It's not really particularly important, so I'm not showing it, but for roughly about hip width. And I'm going to squeeze my glutes again to keep the lower back from getting involved. So squeeze the glutes. From here, I'm going to pull the stick apart, about 40% tension, and then I'm going to pull the stick back away from my head. Hold. 3, 2, 1, back in. Excellent. Good. Ease off. Take a second. We're going to do it again. Squeeze those glutes. Pull the stick apart 40%. Pull the stick back. Hold. Good. Back in. Ease off. Let's go one more time. Squeeze those glutes. Pull the stick apart. Pull back. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back in. Ease off. Excellent. Good. Take a break for a second. Now we're going to get into the cool down phase. So now we're going to start working on stretching out the shoulders. We're going to stretch out the chest. We're going to stretch out those lats a little bit, get a little bit of kayaking going. And we're actually going to start with kayaking first. I'm going to step back. I'm going to grip out on the stick as wide as I can here. All right. I'm going to go with a roughly shoulder width stance, hip to shoulder width, toes are forward. Start with that right hand up, and I'm going to start driving that right hand through. Left hand comes up and over. Good. Breathe. When it's just coming from those shoulder blades, you should be feeling them gliding along the rib cage here. Let's go backwards, so reverse directions. Excellent. We're gonna go back forward again. We're gonna add in some rotation. Good. Keep that rotation nice and smooth. Nice and controlled. Good. Rotation doesn't got to be big. You just want to get rotation in that T-spine, TL junction as we go through. And ease off. Excellent. We're going to go with the second stick here. We're going to get into stretching out the chest here. This is actually more so one of my favorites. So we're going to go with a roughly hip to shoulder width stance. Sticks are right on the outside of the feet, lined up with the toes here. Hands are roughly about face height. Sticks are out to the side. I'm going to lightly drive the sticks down about 10%. Then I'm going to hinge, drive my chest towards the floor. So getting a nice stretch in the pecs. If your shoulders are tight, your anterior delt, you're going to get a stretch there as well. You actually want to get a nice good hang in the hands here. Going to come back up nice and slow. Good. We're going to do it again. Drive those hands down lightly. Hinge those hips back. Keep the hands in line with the shoulders here. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And ease off. Wonderful. Now, stretch out the lats. This is where we're going to need the corner of a wall or something to press the stick into. Let's go ahead and change angles real quick. All right, folks, so this is where we're going to get into the corner of a wall, something for us to press the stick into. Now, the inside leg, and I want you to remember this, the inside leg is going to be the leg that's going to be flagging out. So we're going to create as much length on those lateral lines as we can. We're going to get a really, really good lat stretch here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my left hand, place it at the end of the stick here, and I'm going to step in a little bit. All right, I'm going to step in relatively close, a few feet from the wall, and I'm going to flag my left leg back and out here. Now with my right hand, I'm going to place it on just for added support. Now we're not going to lean into it too much, but just enough. And adjust your position as you need to. So from here, I'm going to create some length, and I'm going to reach out with my left hand, and I'm going to kind of sink my left hip down towards the bottom of the stick. As I'm here, I'm getting a real big stretch in the lat, a little bit in the serratus. Breathe. We're going to slowly come out, and then we're going to go back into it again. All right. Rotate the stick a little bit if you need to. And the bottom of the stick's roughly in line with the toes of my front foot here, by the way. Hand out. Good. Breathe. Excellent. Slowly come out. Now we're going to switch sides. Right hand is going to be on the stick here, at the end of the stick. Left foot is in. Again, we're going to flag that right foot out. Left hand's on the stick for support. Sink that right hip in. Breathe. Excellent. Come back up. Let's go into it again. Sink into it. Breathe. Come back up. Excellent. Good. Now, just want to finish off with a little bit of bow and arrow. Then we're going to call it a day. We're going to step back. We're going to have our feet hip width, toes forward, sticks on the left side of the body. I'm going to have my left hand is right about where my waist height is. I'm going to have my right hand up over the top, thumb facing down towards the floor, drive my hips away, and then extend my hands out. Now lightly pull upwards with that top hand. Good. Keeping a bend in the stick, I'm going to bring the stick forward, Keep my body position the same. Bring it back out overhead. One more time, bring it back forward. Bring it back out overhead. Ease off, nice and slow. Now we're gonna switch sides. So we're kind of flossing that bow and arrow a little bit, right? Right hand down, left hand is up, over the top, thumb facing down. Drive those hips away first. Extend those hands out. Pull up with the top hand, lightly, about 10%. Bring the stick forward. Back out again. Good, back forward. Go back out one more time. Back in nice and slow, and ease off. Wonderful. And that, my friends, concludes today's stick mobility class. Like I mentioned, I wanted to keep it all shoulder and upper body focused and specific. However, I hope everybody had a good class. Thank you for joining me today, everybody, and I will be sure to catch you all next time. Stay safe. Have a good one.